Well, congratulations. You got drawn for the St. Vincent Island SAMBAR Deer Hunt. More than likely, you've been trying to get this hunt for quite some time because generally, you need a good bit of preference points in order to get it. But congratulations for getting it. This video is targeted specifically at the people that are going to St. Vincent Island for the very first time ever and going on SAMBAR Deer Hunt. So with that said, I'm going to be going over everything from the time you get to the boat ramp, your boat ride over, your camping, the pre-hunt meeting, you're going out scouting, everything we're going to cover here from my experience, which was last year in the 2020 drawing for the SAMBAR Deer Hunt on St. Vincent Island. That was my first time out. I learned a lot, and this video right here that I'm making, I wish would have been made for me to view before I went on my hunt. So I hope y'all get a lot out of it. Got my phone here with a list full of things that I'm going to go over with you. So with all that said, get you a notepad and get ready to take some notes. So the first thing that I'm going to start off with is when you get to the boat ramp. Personally, I would tell you to get there as slap early as you can get there. I'm talking about before daylight. I got there around 8 o'clock. I had to leave my house around 3:30 in order for the time frame for me to get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. And there was almost a 45-minute wait for me to get my boat in. So it was already packed full of people, specifically just for that hunt. Not people fishing. I'm talking about people just going to the island. So it was definitely a little bit of a madhouse trying to get in this boat ramp. And the boat ramp is not really the biggest. It's one boat. So you're waiting for one person at a time to go in and out, in and out. And it was just a big mess. But with that said, try to get there as early as you can, preferably, more than likely, before daylight, which is what I'm going to do this year, here in 2021, because I got the permit again. Thank the good Lord, 2 years in a row. Last year was a learning experience. This year is going to be a SAMBAR stag killing experience. But with that said, get there before the sun comes up. You'll have a lot less people to deal with, I'm sure of it. When you get to the boat ramp, it's a one-person boat ramp, as I stated before, so it's going to be one boat in, one boat out at a time. The current, whenever I went, was extremely rough when I was going in. They had the yellow flags up on the flagpole, so it was pretty nasty weather. When you're backing your boat in, that current is pushing that boat right off your daggum trailer, trying to knock it into the docks. So it was a bit of a madhouse for me trying to get my boat off the trailer by myself, get it pulled around to the beach side so I could park up, because there was no cleats for you to tie your boat off, so it was a mess. But be ready for that. If you have somebody going with you, it'll be a big help. You have somebody in the boat, so as soon as you back out, you can have somebody pull the boat off the trailer with the motor, pull on around so you can get out of the way and let other people get their boat in. There's two campsites for you to choose from. You've got Indian Pass, which is closest to the boat ramp. It's about a quarter of a mile away, and it tends to be the less populated campground. You've got West Pass Campground, which is on the east side of the island. Names kind of don't match up. You would think West Pass would be on the west side. But anyways, West Pass is on the east end of the island. From what the forest ranger, not really forest ranger, but the refuge staff, I guess you would call them, that were stationed on the island for the hunt, told me that majority of people always go to the West Camp because it tends to have the higher sandbar harvest. But use a lot of caution if you're going to the West Pass, because the weather over there and the tides with the currents and everything does tend to get quite dangerous, especially for small craft, which leads me into my next subject of matter, which is paying attention to weather. So, cannot stress this enough. Pay attention to the weather for the time you're going to be there. If it starts getting bad, you better go to your boat and get whatever you got to get out of it. I don't care which side of the camp you're on. If you're on Indian Pass, if you're on West Pass, it's going to be nasty. Had some nasty weather while I was there, and there were several boats that sunk during the very first night. Before the even hunt started, the day before the hunt, we had boats sinking that night. People waking up screaming in the campground. It's like bloody murder. It was insane. But be very careful. Understand how to park your boat. Don't pull it up on the sandbar and anchor the stern and the bow, because your boat's not going to be able to maneuver when that tide starts shifting around. And it's a very good chance your boat's going to get pulled up in water. So pay attention to the weather. Make sure you just got your bow anchored up, which for those that don't understand, the bow is the front, stern is the back. Make sure your bow is anchored up. with roughly about 15 to 20 foot anchor line out, away from other boats, so your boat can just swing around with the current as it needs and have some play with the water. Personally, I kept my boat off of the sand, so at low tide it was still sitting in the water and didn't get beached up. Pay attention to the weather, big factor up there. So my next thing is setting up your camp. So one thing that I did not do, didn't even think about it, but will definitely be doing this year, is bringing a cart with me. Because I had to unload everything out of my boat and carry it as much as I could carry in my arms up to the campground, which for me, I camped at Indian Pass, and from where I had to park my boat to where the camp was at was roughly about 150 yards. So carrying just hand loads at a time, up the sand, up the hill, and back down, grabbing more, and just back and forth, wears you out very quickly. And of course, that's going to come to the time when you have to leave and bring all your stuff back. Highly recommend you bring a cart or even an empty cooler that you want to just throw a bunch of stuff in, so maybe you can have somebody help you pick up one end, you get the other. If you got somebody going on a hunt with you, don't get both ends and carry a bunch of stuff up at one time in a cooler. Bring some kind of cart with you. It'll make unloading and loading a whole lot easier for your boat. Now when it comes to setting up your camp, actually setting up your camp, there's no designated campsites, like there's no numbers or anything like that. It's you walk up as soon as you get on the mound or up on the island from the sand. Anywhere's in the general facility of where the station is at, the refuge station is at, anywhere's in that facility you want, you can set up. Doesn't matter, as long as you're not sitting right in the road, of course. But it's not the most flat terrain, so kind of hunt you out a spot, maybe bring you a rake even, clear out some of the dead palmettos or anything like that that just might be poking into your tent and cutting holes in it or whatnot. Just general cleaning up the ground around you and just try to make it as flat as you can. So as soon as you get done setting up your camp, you're going to walk up to the refuge station and they're going to ask for your name, make sure you're on the list, because they'll have a list there. So if you don't have a permit and you're just trying to show up, you won't be able to hunt. So make sure you have your permit with you, because they're going to check your name, mark you on the list, and they're going to give you a flag. Now what that flag is for is whenever you take your bike or you walk, whatever you're doing, when you go out scouting, you say, okay, this is where I'm going to turn off the main road into the woods. You set your flag there. So that way we're not having other hunters get bunched up on each other right before daylight and just becomes a big mess. So they're going to give you a flag, and that's what that flag is for. Stick your flag in the ground when you find where you're going to cut off from the road. So you're just riding down the road, say, hey, I'm going to cut down in there. You stick your flag right there by your bike, or if you're walking, you just stick it right there in the ground and somebody knows that there's somebody hunting down in this area. Now, as I stated prior, there's going to be a safety meeting around 5 o'clock. I believe it's 5 o'clock. Could be, hit or miss on that time frame, but I think it's right around 5 o'clock. And what that is the refuge staff is going to gather everybody up, and they said to bring a chair, that it was going to be a really long meeting, like a 45-minute meeting, but it was more like 10 minutes for me, so I don't really know if maybe this year it'll be longer. But regardless, there's going to be staff there, and they're going to go over all the rules and regulations, everything just over again to make sure everybody's on the same page. Any questions you might have, they'll answer them for you and get you on the right path of knowing what you need to know. And remember, the only stupid question is a question you don't ask, so just feel free to ask anything you need. Now when it comes to actually scouting, personally, I brought my electric bike with me, and it was a big game changer. There was a few other guys here that had electric bikes as well, and the road that you're going to take, the main road, is full of seashells, and pretty hard ground too, but there's a lot of seashells there, so your bike can really cruise along pretty nicely, whether you got an electric bike or you're just pedaling with your feet. The tires can really grip it good. As soon as you break off that road, you can forget it, because it's sand and your tires just dig right in and it's just crap. But bring you a bike if you can, rent a bike, whatever you got to do. I can promise you, if you're wanting to just walk that place, you can certainly do it. There were guys that did it. I actually believe there was a guy that killed a cow, or whatever you would call a female, I think it's a hind is what the female sandbar deer is called, is a hind. The guy actually killed one like within 250 yards of camp, and he walked. So you can definitely get it done, but personally I would definitely recommend you bring you a bike so you can really get deep into the interior of that refuge. And what you're going to be looking for as you're scouting, go like you're hunting hogs. Find the wet, marshy, nasty, muddy areas, and that's where you're going to want to hunt, because that's where your sandbar are going to be. You can certainly kill some up on the high ground, up in the pines, looking over a big open plain, but the majority of all the sandbar that are killed in wet areas. So keep that in mind. Focus on your wet areas for the sandbar. Hunt them like you're hunting a hog. Alright, now it's time for the first day hunt. Come back to camp that day prior, you eat you a good old supper, sit down, watch some shooting stars on the beach shore, enjoy the night. Time to go to sleep. Get up in the morning about 3:30, because you're going to need to get up about 3:30. And the reason I say that, because everybody's getting up about 2:30, early as can be, and heading out to their spots. It's insane how early some people got up. Personally, I left the camp about 4 o'clock. And the reason you got to get up so early is, when you think about it, when you're going so deep into the interior of this refuge, miles upon miles in there. I believe it's like a 12-mile refuge if I'm not wrong. But I went about 4 miles with my bike, and it took me close to an hour to get from the camp to where I parked my bike and get out and start walking. And then you have another 30 minutes. So you got to take into account the time of when you leave, the time you get off the bike, or especially if you're walking, that's a whole new game. But when you're on the bike, getting off the bike, walking to your stand, getting set up in your stand, letting everything settle down, whole 9 yards. Take all that into account. So personally, I'd recommend 4:30, head on out, varying on your distance into the interior of the refuge. But make sure you get up early. When you get to your stand, you want to hunt until cutoff time. There is a cutoff time of 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 3 o'clock, hunting is over. No more hunting. This is for the sandbar deer hunts only, not for the whitetail hunts. For sandbar deer hunts, you can only hunt until 3 p.m. each day of the hunt. Hunt until 3 o'clock. There were so many people getting down late in the mornings, 12 o'clock, and then just wasting the rest of the hours a day. This is a big hunt. I mean, I know some people are there just to enjoy it and have fun. Don't get me wrong, I'm there to enjoy it and have fun too. But this is also a big hunt, to me at least. I view it as a very big and special opportunity to take place in. So with that said, I'm going to hunt every possible minute I can. So I was in my stand from before legal light until 3 o'clock. As soon as 3 o'clock hit, took the primer out of my muzzleloader, because it's black powder only. Took the primer out of my muzzleloader, put it in my pocket, climbed down, head back to camp, get some good rest, whatever you got to do. But 3 o'clock is cutoff time, so hunt until 3 o'clock. So what if you shoot a sandbar during a various time during your hunt? Well, the refuge staff will instruct you on their times that they're going to run game pickups. What game pickup is there's 2 different times, one in the morning and one in the early afternoon, where they're going to run a game pickup route. On each side of the island, there will be trucks parked for refuge staff. And each side of the island, they're going to do this number here and just make big loops along the roads, and they're going to be picking up hunters. You can get one of the refuge staff's phone numbers and call them if it's after they've already done one of their pickup routes. You can call them and tell them you've got a sandbar down if you kill one after the last pickup. There's no help with pulling it out, so you have to be the one to bring it from the kill site to the road. So have fun with that, especially if you're by yourself. There was one guy last year, fun little fact, one guy last year had to actually cut his sandbar in half to get it out because he was by himself. So he cut it in half, brought the one end, went back, grabbed the other end, and brought it out. So you gotta do what you gotta do. My hat's off to you, whoever that is. You might be watching this. Hat's off to you. It was pretty wicked. Another thing is, if you're sitting until 3 o'clock, which you should, bring you a lunch. There's so many people that weren't even taking lunches with them, talking about how hungry they were. Bring you a darn lunch. Get you a backpack. Get you some Ziploc bags. Get you some little snacks. Make you a sandwich. Put it in there with some drinks. And get comfortable on your stand and bring your lunch with you. It'll make you want to stay a lot longer until that 3 o'clock time frame. Shouldn't have to tell you that, but bring you some lunch. It'll help you to want to stay until 3 o'clock. Well, that pretty much covers most of it. The very last thing that I have on my list that I want to share with you is when you leave on the last day, I don't think it's really going to matter what time you leave, because I personally got out of my stand on the last day at 2 o'clock. I got out early because I knew the time I had to come back, how long it'd take for me to take down my tent, take down all my camp, load it into the boat, and then of course I had a 4.5 hour ride plus home. So that's why I got down a little earlier than the 3 o'clock time frame on the last day. But what I will say, when you get to your boat ramp, expect delays big time. Over an hour I had to sit in my truck in line just to get my boat loaded up. Over an hour just in the truck. Got the boat back to the ramp, parked up on the beach, walked up to my truck. Over an hour waiting just to be able to get the trailer down and load the boat up. So that is a big thing you need to keep in mind, is expect big delays at the boat ramp. Other than that, unless you've got some more questions that you're thinking in your head, feel free to comment your questions in the box below. I'll certainly answer them to the best of my abilities as I can type. So with that said, this concludes this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Like I said, any questions you might have, feel free to comment and I'll answer them to the best I can. Good luck this season. Congratulations on your sandbar permit for St. Vincent Island. And if you see me there, I'll be at Indian Pass. So if you see me, make sure you come say hi. We'll get a picture together. I always love taking pictures of the fans. I enjoy seeing y'all. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. And I look forward to seeing you this hunting season at various locations, but especially at St. Vincent Island, chasing sandbar deer. So when I kill my sandbar stag, I'll need your help dragging it out. I appreciate y'all.